What's up all you Spider-Man loving dudes and dudettes, Toy Shiz here, and it's another Taco Tuesday, which means another Spider-Man the Animated Series Retro Shiz review. Today we are totally checking out the Toybiz Spider-Man the Animated Series, the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER. Now this was somewhat of a giant box of awesome back in the day. They also had the Spider-Man Hobgoblin Pumpkin Bomb Wing Glider Smice Battle Chair, and then of course, yes, you had the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER. This was actually featured in the animated series. In fact, the second and third episodes. Needless to say, I think Toybiz nailed it and then didn't nail it on this one. Like, you have the three robots that make up the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER, but there's some wonkiness, and I'll show you that with scale with the other figures as well. So, let's get into it. This is the Spider-Man the Animated Series, the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER by Toybiz. And while I got all you TRI-SPIDER Slayers here, I just want to say thanks so much for checking out my Retro Shiz review. If you like it, hit the like button. Also, be sure to subscribe. I got a heck of a lot more Spider-Man the Animated Series on the way. Now, and starting with the tippity top of the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER, we have the Black Widow robot, and in the animated series, this thing started in its first episode before it actually became the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER. Accidentally picked up Flash Thompson thinking it was Spider-Man, and then finally Spider-Man put an end to it. So, built by Alistair Smythe and his father Spencer Smythe, who was killed or put into a time capsule. I never was really clear, but as you can see, it's a very, very cool, very old school Spider-Man toy. Very simple, but yet to the point where you would just push down on this lever and that would activate the legs to kind of outstretch. It didn't really work. I see what they were going for. I mean, this thing, I've seen on a few where you could push it all the way down and it stays. This doesn't want to stay. And then, of course, the other gimmick right here is the little nozzle, and you'd fill it with water and you push down and it would, of course, squirt out water or acid or whatever else you would want to throw at your Spider-Man figures. But overall, it's a great figure. Nice purple, black, red. It's not the best. I mean, honestly, these things should be massive, and I'll show you at the very end some scale, but these things should have been a lot bigger than they were, but still, it's a pretty rad toy. On the second tier of the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER, you have the Tarantula. Now, this guy is very light, not flimsy, but not very sturdy at the same time. It feels like there's nothing there, and for the most part, it seems like it's almost one whole piece, oddly enough. It's very thin, and it looks thin, it feels thin, but it does have some cool sculpting. Nice paint overall, too. It really shines in the blue and the more electric orange, very 90s. It's got the propulsion systems on the back and this little lever, which I'll show you what it does in just a second. So one of the gimmicks for the Tarantula was that he would shoot out his missile, and there's supposed to be two, obviously. So I'm saying if anybody out there has another one of these Spider-Man the Animated Series Tarantula missiles, please let me know, because I lost mine a very, very long time ago and I haven't seen it since. So, boo-hoo. So the other thing was that you would push this lever and then his legs would close just like that. And that would be a more like capture system for a Spider-Man toy. And what you would do is just kind of go underneath him just like this and boom, capture, and then he would fly away. But like any good claw machine these days, it's a very flimsy trap system. So while it does hold Spider-Man pretty well, it doesn't really do it that well either. It's oddly enough, but I love the circuitry and I love all the little paint details everywhere. And again, it's not exactly spot on to the cartoon. It's a good attempt, Ben. It's a great attempt at a toy. I mean, heck, even giving us this type of toy is amazing, but I still feel like in this day and age, if they wanted to revisit Hasbro, if you wanted to give us a new TRI-SPIDER SLAYER, that would be amazing. And then, of course, this brings us to the bottom of the TRI-SPIDER SLAYER, the Scorpion. Now, this guy is actually, I think, my favorite out of all of them. So with this Scorpion, you can clearly see that this one has the most detail, the most going on. It's, again, not exactly screen accurate, but it's so much fun. These things are So cool, and they're painted beautifully. They look great. Real nostalgicness for the Tri-Spider Slayer. So the gimmick was you pull back on his tail right here, and this would activate the pincers, which is a very cool thing. All you would do is get old Spidey in the pincers and boom, it would take him and carry him off. Or you could grab him just like that, hold on to his legs, pinch him, and then boom! It's nothing that was spring-loaded or anything like that. It just simply fit into the tippity top. You'd pull back on the tail and boom, it would launch out of it. I would have rathered it be a push button, something to that extent, but it doesn't detract from the fact that it's an interesting play feature. Also, it had articulation in the legs, which I will show you how it actually combines on the show. The bottom was just one flat color, as you can see, and you can see all the intricate parts and everything on him. It's still one of my favorite Spider-Man vehicle accessories to this day. So now you're probably thinking, how do these combine exactly? Well, first of all, you just take the top tier, the Black Widow, kind of sort of stretch out the legs as far as it will go. If you can kind of push yours down, it will just keep the legs a little better. Grab the Tarantula and then place each of the Black Widow's legs, just the 4 black ones. The 2 red ones will fold over to the side. And as you can see, it locks into place right on the top. Then you would take the Scorpion. It has a little tiny peg right there, and then you would sort of rest the Tarantula over that peg hole right there. That would then lock over that peg hole just like that, so it situates in there. Have the Scorpion's legs down. Go ahead and load them up with your missiles. If anyone has an extra orange one, please let me know. Then bingo bango, you have your Tri-Spider Slayer. Now, one thing I just want to point out is that in the episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series, how it usually walks is that it uses the Tarantula's legs, and that's why it makes me think that they may have included this, is that the legs on the Scorpion would fold up. You could then push the button that clamps down, and then it would look like using the Tarantula's legs to go, but instead of when you do that, kind of just falls off, and then the Tarantula can just go every which way. So you do have to keep the Scorpion's legs down, but I like it just in a simple nod to some show accurateness and continuity. So once you have the Tri-Spider Slayer ready to go, Spider-Man is ready to do battle, and as you can see, the scale-wise with everything just does not line up. This thing should be ginormous compared to this 5-inch figure. So that's going to be my look at the Toybiz Spider-Man the Animated Series, the Tri-Spider Slayer. It's a great vehicle slash add-on kind of playset-ish type thing to add with your Spider-Man collection. It really does fit with the 5-inch Spider-Man the Animated Series. A little bit bigger would have been nice, but hey, you know what? It's pure nostalgia, and it was something awesome back in the day for all those collecting these Spider-Man figures. Now, there were some other versions. They're very tiny, almost Polly Pocket. Why did I say Polly Pocket first? I meant Mighty Max type little vehicles and such for Spider-Man, and they were sold by the Toybiz equivalent in Europe. Now, these were very, very small, more die-cast playsets, like I said, and they actually had the very correct versions of the Tri-Spider Slayer, the Scorpion, the Tarantula, and the Black Widow. And they're very hard to come by. I was trying to get some in time for this review. I had never even heard of these before, so they're very awesome to see now. So definitely check those out. And if you find any of those, let me know as well. There was another Scorpion released at one point, but it was just the Scorpion itself. The Black Widow and the Tarantula were not included. Had a different deco and a Spider-Man figure packed in. Wasn't really show accurate, and plus I already had the Scorpion, so needless to say, these are some great, great figures to add to your collection. So what did you guys think of my retro Shiz look? Bringing back any nostalgia, any old memories? Comment below, let me know. Let's talk some toys. I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food, but most importantly, collect Spider-Man the Animated Series by Toybiz, because there's some truly awesome figures. And when you do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.